guys, Sarah here with Books and Baubles, and today I wanted to do a quick review on the latest book that I've read, which is What Alice Forgot by Liane Moriarty. And I also wanted to do a TBR of all the books that I've purchased recently that I have yet to get to, but I really want to read. So let's jump right in. Okay, so the most recent book that I read was What Alice Forgot by Liane Moriarty, and I really enjoyed the book. Getting into it, I was a little nervous that it was, I don't know, it seemed a little slow right at the beginning because what happens is you're in this woman's head, okay? And she wakes up on the floor of her gym. And she's not sure why she's there because she hates the gym. And she believes that she's pregnant and that she's happily married and all of these things about her life that she believes to be true. Everything has sort of been turned on its head. And it's now 10 years later than what she remembers. She believes it's 1998. It's in fact 2008. She's already had 3 children and she and her husband are going through a divorce. So she has to sort of backtrack and try and figure out what has happened in her life that has made her lose contact with a whole lot of people. All of her old friends are no longer her friends. And these people who she is wondering, why are they my friends? They're her best friends. And she's got to figure out how she became the person that she became and what led her to this place. So it is a really compelling read, actually. And it's one of those things where, because of where I am in my life right now with young children, and my husband and I have been married for 6 years now, it's like, okay, this is the time in the book where she believes that she is, and then she finds out that it's really 10 years after that, and everything's crumbling in front of her. And so it's like, okay, it's sort of a cautionary tale. What do we need to make sure to concentrate on in our marriage and our lives to make sure that we stay on the right path? Of course, it's completely fictional, but it's really interesting and very compelling. And as a young mom, I'm just like back there getting very sad about the whole thing. I'm like, she doesn't remember her children being born, and she doesn't remember their favorite things to eat and their birthdays and who they are as people. She doesn't even know their faces when she first sees a picture. So it's very interesting. So I highly recommend this book. So Liane Moriarty with What Alice Forgot. Highly recommend it. Please check it out. It's a great read. The next one that I want to discuss is the one that I just started reading, actually, and that would be Angelfall. And that's by Susan E. And I hope that I pronounced that right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This was actually part of Peru's project. Reagan is Peru's project. It was part of her Guilty Pleasures book list. And this and one other book that's also going to be in my TBR, they really spoke to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I can get into these. This one is actually, it's really good so far. I don't even know how far into it. I'm not that far into it, but it's post-apocalyptic. God has decided to, or I don't even know if there is a God. There hasn't really been a God involved in this story yet. Basically, the angels come down and they war against each other, and they war against the humans, and there are gangs, and basically everything that was a civilized society has sort of been turned on its head, and now everyone is sort of hiding from the angels and also from the evil humans, because there are a lot of those people, people who raid and things like that. And I believe there's supposed to be some sort of romance with the main character, whose name is Rafi, and Penryn, I believe. She is the main character. She's the main female character, and she and Rafi are going on this quest pretty much to try and get her sister back, because her sister was taken by an angel. Well, Rafi is an angel, and his wings were cut off, and now they are going to try and find her sister and save her. But they sort of get caught up in all of these other things on their way to try and save her sister. And I can see that there's sort of the briefest glimpse of a romance starting there. So I could see this being potentially a love triangle thing, or just a little bit of a Twilight vibe because she's in love, or could be potentially in love, with this angel, and I'm sure that that's not allowed. So it's pretty interesting so far. We'll see how this goes. So far, so good. Two of the books that are on my TBR, I started one of them and found it a little dry. I was sort of in a reading slump just a little bit a few weeks ago, and so reading a drier book was not really for me, so that's why I jumped back into fantasy. But I will go back to these books. They are both by Bill O'Reilly. They're part of his Killing series. So I've got Killing Kennedy and Killing Lincoln. And I actually started Killing Lincoln. I haven't started Killing Kennedy yet. Killing Lincoln starts off just kind of slow, so I actually do have an audiobook as well. I was thinking maybe audiobook would be a better option for me. So Killing Lincoln follows Lincoln, and it follows John Wilkes Booth at the time when it starts about 2 or 3 weeks before Lincoln was actually assassinated. And so you are following both of them, and it sort of leads you to the point where it explains how they got to the point where John Wilkes Booth actually kills Lincoln. It explains his background and how he got to that point. It also explains how Lincoln got to the point. It's just very interesting. Or at least that's what I was led to believe by my brother. Hi, Zach. So hopefully that all sort of comes to fruition and I start to really get into this book. But as of now, I'm putting these two aside until I can get through my slump and sort of get back into reading more historical books. And Killing Kennedy is probably going to be a lot more up my alley because I love the Camelot era and all of that. So to be determined. We'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. The next book that I want to discuss, I actually have read the first 2 books in the series. This is the 3rd book, and that would be the Fifth Wave series. The last book is The Last Star. I don't know what happens in this book. I read the first 2 books, and they were awesome. Basically, the Fifth Wave, and there's a movie. So if you don't want to read the book, although I would really recommend reading the book because the book was really amazing. It centers around Cassie, and she gets separated from her brother, and all of their other family is dead, and she has to go on this quest to try and find him and save him. I'm noticing a trend in my books here. But there's a love triangle kind of thing going a little bit. There's romance, there's action. The series is really wonderfully written. I really enjoyed it. So definitely check that out. And the movie is actually very good too. They did alter a few things, but they weren't things that bothered me. I actually completely understood why they changed the things that they changed. So hopefully if you check this book out, you'll enjoy it. I'm hoping to like the last installment in that series, fingers crossed. So, okay, and the next book I'm going to discuss is, actually, it's a lot of books. I read the first 3 in this series, and I stopped there because I believed that it was a trilogy. Unbeknownst to me, this writer was going on a rampage, and now there are about 1 million books. So I've got to figure out which one is number 4 so that I can continue reading these books. And I'm just going to show you one to represent the whole thing. It's the Selection series. I enjoyed the first 3. Light reading, easy reading, obviously young adult fiction. But you know what? For something to listen to while I'm at work on an audiobook, or for something that's a little bit lighthearted and I won't have to think too much about it, this series is awesome. Very light, easy reading, quick. It's great. So there are about 1 million books. I actually haven't counted, so they're probably not 1 million, but there are a lot, and I'm going to have to check them out. And the last book in my TBR for this month is Shatter Me. And this is the other book that was in Peruse Project's Guilty Pleasures tag. This book, apparently the main character is this woman. I believe what I heard in Peruse Project's video was that everyone in the society has a gift, and it just so happens that this gal's gift is killing people, basically with just a touch. So I believe there's also romance in this book. I don't know if it's a triangle or if it's just a romance, but it sounded really interesting to me. I believe that the government that she's under, is using her as a weapon. In the About This Book section of Shatter Me, it says this, and this sort of drew me in. "You can't touch me," I whisper. "I'm lying," is what I don't tell him. "He can touch me," is what I'll never tell him. But things happen when people touch me. Strange things. Bad things. No one knows why Juliet's touch is fatal, but the reestablishment has plans for her, plans to use her as a weapon. But Juliet has her own plans. After a lifetime without freedom, she's finally discovering a strength to fight back for the very first time, and to find a future with the one boy she thought she'd lost forever. Okay, so there's obviously romance in this book, and there's got to be action. I'm very intrigued. So I'm not sure in which order I'll be reading all of these books, but I'm going to try and get to these books as quickly as possible. Probably not in this month. I have 2 little kids, and I've actually had 2 funerals this month. 2 of my grandparents died, so it's been a rough month and especially difficult to find time to read. We've been very busy. So yeah. So I will do reviews on these books as soon as I can. And thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.